Yes, welcome everybody to the fifth StormX AMA. With us we have Alex Hidalgo. Alex is our CPO. Matt, our CMO, Matthew Chuen. We have Simon, you, our CEO today, and a new guy, very new but new to this AMA, Calvin. First of all, we would like to thank everybody for your questions. We have a lot of questions, or a lot of questions came in the past week. We are going to try to answer them answer them all. If we miss a couple of them, apologies of course, but we are trying to grab all the questions from our community.
Yeah, I'll go ahead. And before we start answering questions, I do want to sort of explain some of our history and our vision and sort of where we're going with all the products that we're building. I know we've explained in some blog posts and, dropped a couple of things in the roadmap, for example, but I do want to emphasize a little bit on how that all connects together. So in case you don't know the brief history about StormX, Calvin actually, straight out of University of Washington, he started building this app called BitMaker straight out of his dorm room back when he was a senior in 2013. And he started building this app that rewarded people very small amounts of Bitcoin to watch a short video. And when he and I first came together, we started working on this vision that through crypto, we can start creating ways for people to be able to earn, whether they're halfway across the world, whether they're in the US, and just be able to earn even small amounts of just rewards, just because the transaction fees are a lot more feasible than it is for traditional fiat. Because if you're trying to imagine, sending someone $10 from the US to India or China, for example, you'd have to spend $100 in wire transfer fees, foreign transaction spreads. And it's really because the banking inefficiencies are just it's very profit heavy, and the technology is very outdated, and for centuries we haven't really seen a lot of disruption happening in the finance sector, but with crypto it became possible. Whether we're trying to send a few dollars, like $2 or $3 of rewards, we're able to send that out. And this created an amazing opportunity for us, because now we can just focus on ways to create different products that can give just more dollars into people's pockets. And the reason why Calvin and I have been so passionate about this project and struggling through multiple bear markets throughout the last 7 or 8 years is because we both also went through significant financial hardship when we're in college, working multiple jobs and trying to sustain ourselves. And that's why we want to, we work so hard to continue giving you the earning opportunities. And so we've done a good job of creating a microtask platform, starting off with, surveys, different products and services that you can try, to being able to shop and earn different cryptocurrencies. And I'm sure you guys are all, waiting patiently for the debit card and the checking account. And the reason we're also doing this is because we're expanding to the neobank model. So in case of those of you that are not familiar with neobanks, basically, a lot of the tech companies are able to streamline the banking process more efficiently without having to have physical branches. So you think about Airbnb, right? You think about how hotel industries have dominated for a long time, and Airbnb has figured out a way to allow just every person just to be able to rent their place, and also give someone to be able to just find a way to just stay and at a much more affordable cost. And typically for hotels, you charged very expensive amounts, because in order to build a hotel building, it would cost hundreds of millions of dollars, for example. But without that infrastructure, it's now much cheaper, and you can pass the cost savings to the users. Similarly with banking, right? So like I'm fed up. I think a lot of you are also into crypto because we're fed up with inflation. We're fed up with unlimited money printing. We're also fed up with banks that are charging exorbitant amounts in fees in terms of credit cards and loans. But from a checking account or savings account, we're getting nothing. We're getting 0.01% or 0.02% for those that are extremely aggressive. So why is that? There's such a big arbitrage opportunity for banks, because it was such a hard industry to get into. But now with neobanks and the tech industry coming in and coming up with more streamlined processes, where if you need money, we can transfer it electronically, or you can just go to any ATM that you want. We'll waive the fees for you, and you'll just be able to get cash at your own time and place. But we don't need to have this expensive infrastructure of having physical buildings and employees that are managing these, sort of outdated places that no one even goes to the bank. Like I can't even, I honestly don't remember the last time I went to the bank, for example, as well. So the technology is evolving, and what we're doing is taking the Web3 approach and evolving that, like Chime and Revolut and some of these Web2, neobanks, and evolving that into an even further step. As you probably have seen through the StormX rewards model, we've done a really good job in terms of being able to give the highest rewards for our most active and loyal users through our token membership program. And so the more you engage with our product, you can earn more StormX tokens. You can also spend those tokens, and you can get that tokens and be able to apply that for significantly higher rewards than some of our other competitors, for example. And that is also one of the reasons why the debit card, we can offer 5%, up to 5% on all purchases, up to 8% for Amazon, and up to 15% for 15,000 stores. And so it will be a lot more aggressive and better, cost savings, and we're passing that to our users, and that'll, that's the reason why I think every member in our team are planning to use our card versus any of the other cards. And so our vision, what we're trying to do, just summarizing it, is to be able to pass the cost savings back to the users and just create more earning opportunities. And we're really excited to be able to disrupt this neobank model, because it's a huge area that has still yet to be disrupted. And with the Web3 model, we will be more efficient and have better benefits for our users and also the merchants that we work with. So on top of the card and the checking account, we're also excited about governance. And I think Alex will talk a lot about this as well too. But for those of you that have watched the FTX commercial, there was that one part where they're, coming up with the Constitution, and Larry is like, we're gonna let the stupid people vote. We're gonna let everybody vote, and then this is not ideal. But in our case, typically with the corporate structure for how companies have run in today's world, it's all very centralized. It's all decisions made by the company itself, and Apple is like a perfect example where they're making massive amounts of profit. But at the end of the day, as a consumer and as an Apple user myself, I want to see more innovation. I miss those Steve Jobs days where we saw something that's truly different and that was really futuristic. And I know profit is good, but at the same time, I want to see something different. And as a user, I would like to have a vote, not just as a stockholder, but as a stakeholder of the product. I would love to be able to have decisions on how the product is made. And so that is something that is very different, that doesn't exist today. And that's something that, that we're launching, and why we're, making this shift into governance, because, we're building the product for the end users at the end of the day. And we want more of the end users to have a say. And so, we'll start getting into a lot of these. And so I guess we can start, just answering some of the questions. Sort of going back to some of the examples I was talking about from the neobank, our rates are definitely more aggressive than a lot of the other competitors. And we're able to do that in two ways. One, we're a lot more efficient as a tech company, not having to have the physical infrastructure of banks and employees, and we're able to pass the cost savings to our users. Two, we're also able to leverage the merchant relations that we have, and able to offer that additional cash back to the users, which we've been really good at from running StormX for a long time, with working with thousands of different retailers. And then the third is with our token Web3 model, if you do earn the StormX tokens, you'll be able to earn higher rewards as a loyal member of the product versus just being able to switch between different products, for example. So for those reasons, as the rates that I've mentioned in the past, it's definitely more competitive than anything that's out there. And so we're excited to see that. So I'll pass the floor to Alex to answer some of the next questions.
Yeah. So governance is really exciting. There is a ton going on in the space. And there's a lot to learn. It's a lot of innovation happening all at once, a lot of projects trying out different ways of using governance. And the big idea there, like Simon mentioned, is so people actually have an ability to decide on what's going to happen. It makes for better products. It makes for a better community. And just to reiterate some of what we've mentioned in the blog so far, because so much of this is new, the best way to start is slow and small. So in the beginning, it'll be a few proposals that'll really be focused on us figuring out this process. One of the things that might happen for a first proposal is closing the swap contract, and that's the contract going from Storm tokens to our new STMX tokens that we started many months back. In terms of people swapping, we've made a ton of progress. It's about 96% has been swapped so far, and it's slowed down drastically recently. There's not many people that are swapping anymore. We think we're at a point where it would be prudent to close the contract, and that's for a few reasons. One, it's not being used, or it's being used less and less now, and then two, that frees up more of our time so we can focus on building features than working on something that's almost complete. Another really interesting proposal that we'd like to see worked on is for the community to decide on what withdraw tokens we'll have inside of our app. At the start, we can vote on just one token to add or remove. But eventually, this is a really good process that the community can own more and more over time. And that's because the community is in a good position to know both what people want. They'll be able to survey community members and figure out what's interesting to them. They can do their own market research and see what popular tokens are coming out right now that we should be listing. And we can also share more information about what tokens users are withdrawing into, so that the community really has all the information needed to make a good decision on what we should be adding to our app. Another interesting proposal is grants. So we have the governance token coming out. We would love to support a lot of the good work we've been seeing community members do. We've seen content creation happening, like in the crypto cashback hacks. We've seen Twitter bots being built, which is really cool. That's like our first foray into like community developers starting to do work, which is really exciting. So we like the ability to vote on grants, get tokens to those that are building and support them. And other things that they could even build are like community dashboards, podcasts, things like that. So a lot of exciting stuff. But that question came from Gold Boy. Thank you very much.
Yeah, I even think we answered a couple of questions with this, which is really nice. So awesome. I personally, I'm also really excited for governance, as it is a community. It involves a lot of community. So I think if you look at our community members now, they are really involved, really active, doing a lot for us also. So I'm really excited for that part on a personal note.
That's a good question. We are focusing on earning, right? So there's other products, there's Binance and KuCoin or FTX and all these guys focusing on exchanges, and crypto.com doing sort of hybrid of everything. Same with Voyager, for example. Our focus is definitely around the earning aspect. So how could we find ways for users to be able to earn and use that to launch different products? And so you've seen that with the StormX app. You'll see that with the debit card, and a checking account is a good sort of hybrid into that as well too. But ultimately, our goal as a company is to find the average users and just get them introduced into crypto. So we're not really targeting if you look at some of the DeFi protocols, for example, they're targeting a very small audience of like several thousand people that understand all these different smart contracts and understand how to yield farm and do all these crazy things. But in our case, we're trying to make the user experience as simple as possible, so that eventually our grandma and our aunt or whoever that's not familiar with crypto can just use it and just be able to earn as seamlessly as possible. So we started with the StormX app, but the debit card is also a good way into making that friction point a lot easier as well too, because all you need to do is just load it up at any of the stores that we mentioned, like 7-Eleven, Walgreens, Walmart, or just transfer it through an ACH and just spend and just be able to earn just like you normally would with a normal debit or credit card. So we're excited there. This is a great question too. So it's 7 years. And I think some of you guys know our history as well too. Like the first 3 years, this is like 2014, 15, 16 for me. Trying to raise money in crypto was almost impossible. Every VC or angel investor had thought that crypto was some sort of scam. So Calvin and I actually worked at a food truck that we started and worked really hard on that too, just to sustain ourselves and just to be able to just keep this company growing without having to raise additional money and just keep just bootstrapping. And sort of when 2017, 18, 19, as more adoption came in, more of these larger companies coming in, perfect example is Bakkt, BAKKT, for example. They raised billions of dollars and they still haven't shipped a product. And so there's still a very big learning curve and from like traditional companies coming into crypto, because there's a lot to take in. And even for us, we have to spend a lot of time just outside of work, just keeping up with all the different layer 1 solutions that are coming in, all the DeFi infrastructure, and just everything that's going on in crypto world, because everything is evolving very quickly. And so from a traditional company, a lot of, and I've worked for a lot of traditional companies in the past too, their brain mindset is just not wired to run a crypto company, because you have to constantly be on the edge. You have to constantly, evolve and just be able to, move very quickly, because trends also die very quickly. Regulations constantly keep changing. And there's so much that you have to keep yourself, sort of working at like 80, 100 hours a week and just stay on top of like all the different changes that are happening. On the other side too, we can also think about like, what about all the other crypto companies that are coming into the space too? What if they start competing in this space as well too? And we've seen a lot of that, a lot of people and companies trying to copy us and our model that are much smaller, but they don't have the traditional side of the infrastructure as much as we do, because we do have a pretty good balance of working with the traditional side of the business like brands, for example, and coming up with UX that's easier for normal people to understand. And we're in a very good middle ground between the traditional realm and the crypto realm, where we found a really good niche. And it's been hard for a lot of companies to just keep up with us, let alone try to outpace us. So that's one of the reasons why we've been able to just surpass just any of our competitors, honestly, even though we raised a much smaller amount than some of our competitors. So yeah, and it's honestly just the team mindset and just being able to just grow and having that desire to just be able to just constantly evolve is the big differentiator.
Yes, there will be cashback for gas stations. So when you're buying fuel and things like that, there'll be a base level cashback that you'll be getting, and then memberships will get even higher cashback, just like our shop program. So we do have cards. There's a lot of testing that we need to do. And I think that's kind of the question. That's all I can say so far.
That will be blurred out. So if you're watching this, that will probably be a blur crossing the screen, but we can confirm that was a StormX debit card.
Oh, did I say something else?
No, Simon just peeped the card across the screen, but there'll be a nice amount of pixels when people finally see this. Is that the one? that's a question I've heard quite a few times. Due to the fact that he's moved off from the Trailblazers, it felt prudent to sever that relationship to a certain degree, but only from a professional standpoint. CJ's still a friend of the brand, but unfortunately, due to his trade, we've had to kind of put a put a stop in some of the future activations we had planned. It's unfortunate, but it is a factor as we always anticipated. So although we've parted ways, we're still on good terms with CJ and his team. And, we wish him the best at the Pelicans. And, hopefully he's still using the app out there.
Great, awesome.
We do have a new brand ambassador that we'll be announcing as well.
I was going to get onto that, but yes, Simon is correct. There is another brand ambassador that we are on the verge of announcing. In terms of telling you more about that, we'll have to get that out once we're able to, but very, very soon. And I hate using the word soon. I know you guys will call me out on that, but for situations like this, when it's contractual, it's the best you're going to get from me at the moment. Yeah, sure. I see the rest of that questions there. Have there been any plans to increase its reach, i.e. on TV or other social media platforms? Yeah, so actually the advert's been running on YouTube in pre-roll and also across the ESPN digital network. So a lot of you may not have seen this as you're already users. You aren't our target demographic. So we've made a conscious effort to target people who aren't users of the app. This is obviously for user acquisition. And a few of you may have seen them. I know a few people have seen on Discord and across Twitter have been mentioning the ads. They've seen that there. But yeah, our primary focus was to show it to new users. But some of the numbers that have come through so far show very promising uptake. For ESPN alone, we've already shown it to over 1 million people. And this is across the entire ESPN digital catalog. So anything that's not physical TV, but from app to TV, as in digital TV, online, etc. And it's been pretty good with 97% completion rate in watching the whole video, which is great. I mean, it's a 30-second video, but 97% completion rate on a 30-second video is way above industry standard. And we've seen some good metrics coming through from that in terms of it bringing people towards the app, towards the site, and in brand recognition in general. So yeah. It's going pretty well. As for traditional TV, that's something we may look to in the future. Although, I think Simon's mentioned this in previous calls as well, that, it's a declining audience on traditional TV outside some of the more spotlight events. Let's take Super Bowl, etc., when people tend to tune in. Day-to-day viewership of standard TV is declining heavily. Digital is generally where we probably want to keep this. And I guess that feels about right in terms of Web3, right? We're trying to stay in the future. But TV's an option, but not our primary option.
Yeah, so in terms of the engineering perspective, hiring has been the hardest so far, if you haven't heard, especially given the workplace culture has changed dramatically since the pandemic. However, we just recently hired a very senior executive vice president of engineering, Vivek, who has 15 plus experience in engineering. With his recent hire, we're able to double our size fairly quickly. So with this large team, we're going to be able to build faster and iterate faster. And then we will be even growing our engineering team even larger. So props to Vivek helping us do all the hiring for us.
Yeah, welcome to Vivek as well.
Welcome to
that
Vivek.
Makes me so happy. I'm on the product side, so
we will make a more formal introduction for Vivek later on.
Yeah, we might get him more of these AMAs as well in the future.
That's a great idea.
Definitely.
Look out.
Yeah, writing it down already.
Yeah. So right now we're working on the debit card and governance, and then the checking account. I think we've announced as well too. But we're exploring other areas as well, like the play to earn style. And actually, funny story, we were one of the first companies to actually come up with the whole play to earn model, because you were able to play games that you download through the StormX app and through the microtask back in the day. But releasing full games and other ways that we could really integrate the StormX token and the whole model as well too. So if you look at where we were at in terms of 2021, we did a good job in terms of applying more ways that you can apply the StormX tokens. And so we came up with the reward model structure, which a lot of people are using right now, over 100,000 people, plus the staking, allowing users to be able to earn extra rewards when they become reward members. Through 2022, you'll now see that being applied for debit card and debit card reward programs. And then through the checking account, you'll be able to bridge that really easily as well too. And through governance, you'll be able to apply that for other things that we'll announce shortly as well. But sort of as we continue diving into the Web3 model, our focus is always around utility. So how could we actually make the token useful? How could we actually make it so that people aren't buying just from speculation, which 99% of the current cryptocurrency market is right now? People are just buying to speculate. There's no real use case. But for us, that's always been our focus. We don't want speculators. So if people come in and say, hey, one price, one moon, we say, hey, sorry, I think you're in the wrong channel. Please, go to a different channel, because what we're trying to focus on is more of a long-term sustainable model where we're actually coming up with good use cases and we're showing people why it's different and why it's going to work. So.
Yeah, sure. I mean, I think it's one of those never-ending cycles of when marketing. But I do understand why people's eagerness is to see StormX in as many positions as they can. At the moment, what we have is a lot of marketing going on behind the scenes as well, outside of just pure activations with these brands. I mean, these are a great way for us to activate on a national and international level. But there are also the pure play day-to-day activities that people probably tend to overlook that go on in the background. In terms of the kind of decision making when it came to, say, working with PokerGo, the Trailblazers, Landing Castle, there's a lot of things that go into this. One being the demographic overlap. We've researched these industries and sports, and they do fall into an overlap. And also sometimes maybe not what may be glaringly obvious as a primary crypto audience, but one that's interested in crypto or is starting to find its way into crypto, which is a great position for us, seeing as a lot of what we do is we help kind of ease people into this. So where it may not seem overtly apparent off the bat, this does fall into that quite a lot. And again, the interest and visibility plays a huge part in this. So if you look at the Trailblazers, in terms of TV visible, we've been seen across all of their home games and their non-home games through the jersey patch. That's a whole load of eyes that would have otherwise not have seen us. And it's definitely helped solidify ourselves as a brand that people now start to recognize. I think a few people within the team have had conversations with people who have recognized the name StormX through the Trailblazers, which is amazing because, that's something that maybe a year and a half ago we wouldn't have been able to achieve. And then also one of the reasons that we've done this is because we obviously want to leverage these partnerships and sponsorships. It's an easy way for us to go to a mass market through a medium that they understand. So without going in with the complicated side of crypto straight away, they see us, it's kind of eased in a little bit more through the sports and the personalities that they recognize. And then from there, we have a platform. As always, marketing is less emotional driven and a bit more statistically driven. And that's kind of what's helped us drive this forward. But yeah, we've seen a great amount of uptake from these partnerships, not only on a consumer base, but also on a brand level. So from brand recognition through to other brands speaking to ourselves and being interested in what we're doing, which sometimes leads to the formation of other partnerships. But yeah, it's allowed us to tap into new audiences and grow our user base and really continue to drive StormX to the forefront of the public eye, which at the end of the day is always our primary effort as a company and also within marketing. I know you asked for, do we have the data to prove that these have met our goals? Yes. I'm sure as you can understand, though, that we don't share our data externally for a few reasons. But yeah, I can assure you that these partnerships have garnered good interest for us, and thus we still look at new partnerships.
Yeah, that's a good question. No, we don't have a bot problem, but in terms of this question, I'm guessing that you're alluding to the TVL, and definitely one of the biggest friction points that we've heard from our feedback from our users is that the Ethereum gas fees is too high, because in order to get StormX tokens to your Web3 wallet and then to be able to become a reward member, you would have to eat the withdrawal exchange fee, and then you'd have to send the transfer fee, which it could cost a lot of money depending on how congested ETH is. And so what we've been doing to try to simplify that too is we've integrated KuCoin, for example, and then we've also just announced today that Binance staking is now available as well too. And with Binance, you see, from the public wallets that we can tell, there's around 25% of the entire supply, which is greater than it's almost double of what the entire balance is in the current DApp right now for the StormX staking. So it's all about creating less friction and allowing people to be able to just create more ways to be able to become reward members without having that barrier. And you'll continue seeing more of this from us, not just more exchange integrations, but more ways like the debit card and in physical store onboarding where it will become easier.
Ooh, is that Sonic the burger spot? I love that spot place.
I am not I'm not really familiar with Sonic, but yeah,
Me too.
It could be.
Great commercials too. Yes. So cashback will show up immediately in the app as pending. And then once you pass that item's return period, that'll turn into like a successful reward that you can then use on the card. There'll be different periods, like if it's food, happens a lot faster. If it's other things, it'll take a bit longer. But yeah, you'll be able to see that tracked in the app immediately.
Yeah, great question. And indeed, yes, it will be reworked and improved. Initially, when we launched the referral campaign, a gold membership was only $500 and diamond membership was like $10,000, for example. But it has now gone up significantly higher. We will redesign the tiers when governance launches, in addition to receiving referral for shopping, for sure.
Awesome, cool. Simon,
Yes.
this one? Yeah, sorry.
No, I was going to say, I guess everyone heard it here. Then I guess the buzzword there of tier redesign.
Yeah, and again, as I briefly mentioned, we were sort of the early pioneers back in 2015 of coming up with the play to earn concept. But we are exploring creating our own game through partnerships, and being able to use the StormX tokens as well too. And that's definitely one of the areas that we're highly looking into, because there is a great intersection between gaming and crypto, and sort of the audience that we're targeting as well. So
I think I even played Final Fantasy. Is that possible in 2016 through the StormX app? It was Final Fantasy, right? Yeah,
and you got like $10 in Bitcoin back then, and Bitcoin was like, that was like $3,000.
I think even less. So
yeah,
awesome. This one is from Presto.
Yeah, I mean, we've heard numerous different feedback regarding the shop tracking stuff. And yes, indeed, like reward tracking is something we are always working on, and it is a difficult problem that everyone in the reward space are dealing with. We work with like thousands of stores, many that are different technical, that aren't technical enough, that help us integrate our system with their backend infrastructure. So there are many different possibilities for shop tracking to get lost, such as having competing extension or app cashback extension install, or a pop-up ad blocker install. If that happens, we do have a customer care team that help resolve the shop tracking issues with valid receipts, and 95% of the transactions do work daily.
Yeah, and to add on to Calvin's point, so most of the transactions are working, and it's oftentimes working with several vendors that are not tech companies, and it's sometimes the links might break, but we are constantly improving that, and that is also one of the reasons why we're launching a debit card, because it is a more seamless experience. You just swipe like you normally would, and you get the rewards. And if you look at sort of where we're heading with this too, the cashback industry, Web 1 version was coupons for grocery stores and for clothing stores, etc. Web 2 was, sort of our model with the cashback, or Rakuten or Honey, for example, where you earn the cashback through, through integrations and opting in. And then the Web 3 model that we're building is through the debit card reward system, and I'm also putting that on blockchain, where the individual transactions can be more smoothly transferred between all these different integrations. So it's something that we're definitely looking forward to. Yeah, and so, yeah, and I know a lot of you guys are a bit frustrated with the delays. So are we, because this is a massive project that we're working with. It's not only with banks, but with card providers. There's legal. There's all these different partners involved. There's also testing. It's a financial product, so it's not just like a consumer application where we can release it and everything will be fine. It does take a lot more compliance work, for example, and there's a lot more partners involved, which is what we can say. And oftentimes, it's out of our control. And so, as much as we try to push as quickly as we can, we're also wanting to make sure that this thing is really good to go and that we don't have to backtrack and pull the product when we actually launch, because getting crypto involved with a financial product is very difficult. There's also a good reason as to why not too many companies have done it so far. It's a very hard hurdle, but there's a reason why we're doing it, because it is beneficial. And so you'll definitely see some updates soon. I did show a sneak preview of the card, so we are on schedule for this year for sure too. But yeah, in terms of hard dates, we'll refrain from answering those questions, because there are external partners that we have to wait for. However, we're very eager to get this out, and this is the next evolution of our product. So it is still our goal to launch in this year, but again, with that as well too, I don't want to make too many promises, just because there's other regulations on the EU side that we'll have to work with on the compliance. And so typically the delays happen with meeting compliance with, and you'll see in the US, it's tough because there's a federal where it's all of US, but then each 50 state has their own regulations and compliance as well. EU similarly as well too. There's a lot of different countries in the EU, plus UK, because you're not in the EU anymore. Sorry, Matt, but just yeah. So those reasons, we want to make sure that we do it right, and so you'll see a lot of good stuff coming out. But in terms of coming up with a competitive product, that's definitely our focus. So.
Cool. Thanks. I'm sorry, man. I thought you were going to say something.
I was just thinking that I personally can't wait for it to be out here in Europe. Yeah. And I guess to mirror what Simon was saying, there are always a lot of hurdles. We're moving at breakneck speed to get the product shipped, and EU is definitely fresh in the back of our mind as well. It's not been forgotten, and we want to bring this to as many people as we can. And we know there's a lot of you in the EU who are desperately waiting for this, and we will keep you updated as soon as we know more. We're always about going bigger than the last activation, so that's always what we want to do. But our goal for ambassadors is generally always to find people that believe in what we're doing as a company, but also in the crypto industry as a whole. So in terms of ambassadors, like we mentioned earlier on, we've got someone lined up. I can't mention who, so I guess feel free to put your thoughts in the comments below, and we'll have a look. And if we see one that's correct, we won't mention it, but we'll know that But yeah, besides all that, yes, we've got someone lined up, and who we want to also be a champion for the brand. So our plan is always to go bigger than before, but I'd be really curious to see who people think it could be.
Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Crypto.com has him.
Yeah, I think he's got a conflict of interest on that one.
Yeah.
You're right. It's not Matt Damon.
Or is it?
I don't know. I actually don't know.
Yeah, we're actually currently in talks with some agencies in Korea to start activating, hopefully within the quarter, if not by the next. We're looking into expanding our offering within Korea from a marketing perspective, but also from a product offering perspective, being able to implement more stores there to be used. We've been heavily focused on the US, but we we don't see StormX as being a US centric product. We see it as being a global product, and as such, where people are actively interested in it, we'll be there. And even the ones where they're not ready for us yet, we'll be there to get them interested in crypto cashback. So it's world domination. It's not just US centric. So it doesn't stop at Korea. Europe, Latin America. We're ramping it all up. Yeah, I mean,
You're a gamer also, right?
Yeah, don't call me out on that too soon. But yeah, no, actually, it's funny because we've been, talking to people within that industry, and it's definitely something that's interesting to us. I think I've mentioned it before on previous AMAs, but like all partnerships, it's about finding the right fit for StormX. At the end of the day, we want to make sure that when we do take a plunge into a partnership, that it's beneficial for both parties, and that the fit there feels organic and right to us. But yeah, funnily enough, a lot of us at StormX are gamers, and we've often played games against each other a couple of times. But the reason I mentioned this is because we're part of the demographic that enjoys a mix of streaming, Twitch, gaming, and crypto. So we know that demographic fit is there, and it's definitely something that's high on our radar.
And we also did a collaboration already, right? With a professional gamer.
This is true. We did, but yeah, there's a lot of stuff we've done in terms of minor activations there, but we want to go a bit bigger with that, and we see ourselves definitely working within the esports sector shortly.
Yeah, I love gaming also, so it will be.
Yeah, and for those who actually also like gaming, you should head over to the Discord. Martijn runs a few community Discord game nights. It'd be good to see some of you there. We occasionally, as a team, make appearances. So if you wanna whoop us at some games, be sure to get onto the Discord.
I think the community ambassadors have been playing a lot of poker recently too.
Also, indeed, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay, cool, guys. That was it for this AMA. Does anybody want to say a couple of last words? Did I miss something?
No, I think I'd probably just want to say that thank you to everyone who continues to support StormX. I mean, we're here and we're building a great product. I know we all believe in it. I know a lot of people out there believe in it, and it's just really good to see all the positivity that comes through from our social channels, from Discord. Even down to the people asking us these questions today. Sure, they sound like they may be hard questions, but we know they come from a position where people care about the brand, they care about what we're doing, and that's why we're happy to do these and speak about what you guys want us to talk about.
Yeah, and if your question wasn't answered, feel free to type in the Discord chat as well too. We're always reading the comments, whether we respond or we don't, and we're always taking the feedback and trying to improve. So definitely keep us posted.
Cool. Okay, thanks everybody. Thanks for listening and thanks for your time and up to the next AMA, guys.
Oh yeah, and if you guys want to see Calvin in more of these, put it in the comments below.
Okay, guys.
Make a vote.
Or
I
else
already
you'll never
feel
see them again.
welcome.
We can do a governance vote about it.
Thanks,
Okay,
everyone.
guys. See ya.
All right.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.